Hello and welcome back to Bricking It, and welcome back to my Hogwarts. I've been building this Hogwarts MOC for around 3 years now. It started off when I first encountered the Hogwarts Moments books and realised that they were an excellent basis for building classrooms, which led to a fairly rapid expansion and the genesis of an entire Hogwarts MOC. This has been slowly growing and adapting with revisions, changes, but largely in the same format for the last few years. I've decided I wanted a bit of a change. So in this series I'm going to be logging how that change goes, and well, I've already made a start. So let's look at an idea that spawned this change. So now this area of my build doesn't get a great deal of attention on the channel because it's really not part of the active build. It's just a storage area, a couple of small shelves below my Hogwarts MOC, and it's where I store the alternate build outs for my room of requirement. And it's been fairly messy, and it's just a general storage area, and I was trying to clear it up and make it look a bit tidier. Also, I've been lacking a space to display the final challenge scenes for the end of the Philosopher's Stone, so I created these sort of facades to cover up all the messy modules that are hidden at the back of the shelves and possibly give myself a display area for those final challenge scenes. So I built these little brick frame walls, and they luckily fit perfectly within the space. And if you look at the bottom there, we've got those sort of like slide cavity bricks, and each of the floors, which are actually attached to the back walls of each of these units, can slide into position, and that way I can take them out and still gain access to the MOCs behind. And I thought this was going to be a fairly useful little setup for my castle. It would give me a bit more display space and also hide all those messy MOCs behind. Now, as it so happened, when the new Great Hall set was released earlier this year, the bathroom and the Hufflepuff common room and indeed the separate potions class all use this almost exact method to slot into their positions within the base of the Great Hall. I decided, well, if it's good enough for them, maybe it's good enough for me. And maybe this is what I should be doing for my entire castle. And I dwelled on this for a little while, and I thought, yes, I think this is what I should be doing. So I decided that rather than using just the back 8 studs of space on my shelf, I would expand my Hogwarts out to fill the entire shelf. I would largely be using the front 8 studs for display space, so my modules wouldn't have to change a huge amount, but it would gain me a lot of real estate. And if I use this rail system, with the rails extending all the way to the back of each module, I could probably stack 2 or possibly 3 modules in each display space, giving me a huge variety of available builds. So that's what I decided to do. And in the series, I'm going to be charting my journey through creating this version of Hogwarts. So the first thing I did was create this space for the entire MOC. Now this is 72 studs wide by 25 studs deep, which is the exact size of the shelf I've got to display on. And because it's 25 studs deep, that gives me 1 stud's worth of back wall, just to help provide a little rigidity, and 24 studs of display depth, which would equal 3 lots of 8 stud deep displays. I can display these in 3 side-by-side modules there, as you can see the smaller ones that are 16 studs wide, and the large 24 stud wide display would be where I put my Great Hall. That would allow it to stay as wide as it was in the previous version of my MOC, but extend another 8 studs forward just to actually make it look a little bit more impressive and a little more grand. So I built this up, and using lots of random tile that I had lying around, I started to tile off the bottom of this just to allow my basement and dungeon modules to slide more freely in place. So here's a little time lapse I surprisingly managed to remember to film. And what I'm doing here mostly is trying to make sure that this idea is going to work. So my 3 basement modules are obviously Slytherin Common Room, the Potions class, and Snape's office. Here I'm just selecting the bricks of the right colour. And I thought it was probably going to be the Slytherin Common Room that was going to be the trickiest one, because it actually had a build in the side wall. And most of my builds only have details along the back and the base of the build. But as this had a bookshelf, I had to check that I'd be able to build it in such a way that the bookshelf could be removed. Because it's stuck out from the side wall, it would obviously interfere with the modules sliding in and out. I soon realised that by using the snot technique, which was actually part of the build itself already, I would easily be able to slide the bases into and out of position, and that this idea might actually work. So using the bulk bricks that I had available, I started to flesh out the back wall and internal dividers for each of the modules involved in this new build. Used a lot of colourful brick, but I soon ran out and realised I was going to need far more. So I headed off to Bricklink to make sure I was going to have enough for my project. As soon as my orders arrived, I went into a rather rapid phase of building, which led me to this in my first day. So fast that I never even got a chance to film any footage of the build process. And I've started to map the new module locations onto the build. Start off with our 3 dungeon locations. Hufflepuff has been rebuilt in place. An expanded Great Hall. This is where the entrance hall will go. Transfiguration class. Herbology, which never was in the castle before. History of magic, ignore Fluffy for the moment. The library. Ancient runes will get a spot. These 2 bases full of students are where Defence Against the Dark Arts will go. Divination across 2 floors. Charms. The trophy room and Myrtle represent the room of requirement. Myrtle's bathroom. Ravenclaw common room. The astronomy tower, filling up this space all the way to the shelf. Professor Vector gets arithmancy. Dumbledore's office. Gryffindor common room and the hospital wing, unchanged, and I think they're going to be in situ as they are. Great Hall also has a sliding floor, which we can remove, and we can get access to the kitchens, and these at the moment are just transplanted from the old version. So I had loads of extra bits on there just to get the height right, and I've just taken those away for now. We can have a look at some of the details I've added into the build. Now a lot of these modules are really just placeholders, just so I can play with the space and have a little look at what I'm creating. Now on the side walls, a lot of them, I've made these little recessed doors. Got on this one, this round window, which I'm really not sold on, I don't think I like. I've put this sloped roof with a little dormer window on it. I'm not sure I like that either, but I'm just playing at the moment. So I've got some doors that are slightly taller, some I've got archways, some I've got slightly shorter doorways, but really I just want to make the castle look a bit more whole. Here we've got a little window seat, and that gives us a nice bay window on the outside with a turret for some detail. Put our owlery back in on the side, and to build this door I had to use some panels instead of bricks, just so those base trays can slide through the door. You can see all that bulk brick making up the majority of the space at the back. So Defence Against the Dark Arts was going to be a tricky one. It's kind of a module and a half, and I'm only building now in whole modules. So to solve that, this one has got a removable wall, snotted into position, the top supported by very long bricks, just to keep it stable for the units above. Now we use 2 bases. Now slide in position here. Again, these are just representative at the moment. So we get our base and a half classroom, then a little bit of corridor space leading off into the background. So I can still achieve my wider ones. And then this, just a placeholder wall, it's completely blank at the moment. But it just slots nicely in, filling up that space so that it can provide a bit more support to the upper modules. They're all quite light, and those 2 long 16 by 16s, I'll probably put a door there just to keep it consistent with the other side walls. You saw me removing these statues, and these obviously provide a nice bit of decoration, sort of make it feel as if the castle carries on in various directions, but their main job is just to block off the end of these rails, just to stop any trays accidentally popping out. Acts as a little break, also gives me a nice bit of detail on the ends of my walls. I've also got these embossed lion head details, I really like those, decorative flourishes. and to the top of each of those I can put one of these 1x2 rounded bricks, again doing the job of blocking off the rails so that nothing accidentally slides out. Don't know if I'm sold on the grey. I've got some on the way in tan, just so I can give that a try. But again, I think it needs a nice finished look, a bit more interest at the front. So done a bit more work on the Great Hall. Sort of got a temporary fireplace, blue because I've got the bricks. I think that's going to be dark bluish grey or dark tan, haven't quite decided yet. So I've got my heraldic beasts back up on that side. Take the statue away, and again we've got that sliding floor. I did make a bit of a mistake. My orders came in full of bulk bricks and I started building, but I hadn't actually finished working on the kitchens. And this is the tricky one to get into, you see me struggling to get the camera in here. But I've now got to try and get my hand in there to complete that build. Because this side of the castle is not unstackable, it's not modular, it's built as a solid piece to provide stability. Charms are going to be a tricky one to adapt, so it might need a whole new build because these two panels go all the way from one side to the other. It's a 16 stud wide back wall. And this is also a problem we have with the Ravenclaw common room with these arch pieces extending all the way across. So a couple of the modules are going to need a redesign. As you can see, 16 studs across, and my bases are only 14 studs by 8. So we need to have a little bit of work done to make Ravenclaw fit. So the hospital wing's not going to change. I'm quite happy with it. Again, still not entirely sold on this. I've made it easily removable so I can try other ideas. Just wanted to allude to a bit of sort of like external architecture. And this round wall every time I look at it, I like it less and less. It's got this kind of recess with a little window seat. You see, but it doesn't really... not sure I like it. But we're still in an experimental phase. You see the back still being built. The internal walls are still being built. Got lots of ugly brick at the back. Underneath here I'm still going to be storing room requirement modules. I don't want to fill up all of my backspace with modules I've already got, and as I've got the space to store them, and you can see I've been trying out a few with the new system, just as they were the right size modules because they were previously designed to slide into a 16 stud by 8 space. Behind the hospital wing and Gryffindor, I've actually got another 8 studs of depth here that I'm not currently using, and thinking about building Gryffindor dorm rooms, which is something I had a very tiny version of way back when. I think it might be time to bring those back and maybe slot them into the space somehow. So this is where we stand at the end of the first week. Building has come to a halt at the moment as I'm waiting for yet more orders of bulk brick to arrive. I'm scouring various stores looking for penny bricks, and I literally spent a penny a brick on bulk brick just to fill out the rest of the back. I've got a couple more floors at the top of the build to add, get those infrastructures in place. In the next video I'll take you through some of the modules I've already built, so we'll have a closer look at the Great Hall and the dungeon modules, and hopefully I'll have the new version of potions formalised by then, just to see some of the changes I made when they were transplanted over. The Great Hall's had quite a severe modification from its previous incarnation. Slytherin not so much, but we will see that next week, and then I will be updating you on the general state of the build then as well. This will also be the video where we actually look at what I'm talking about in a bit more detail. Although I've kind of glossed over it in my rush to get things started and get my infrastructure in place, I really want to explain what it is I'm trying to achieve here with all of these slide in and out modules, and just give you a good idea of what the future holds for my build. So all that remains to say is thank you very much for watching. If you've enjoyed this video, please do leave us a like. Let me know in the comments below what you think of this new style of Hogwarts. I may have oversold and under-delivered on my promise of a new Hogwarts, but hopefully this is interesting enough and that you'll join us again to see this project as it develops. If you're new to the channel, why not go back and explore some of my previous playlists. Each and every module that has been included in this build has had its own build video at some point, sometimes 2 or 3 different versions of it. And if you enjoy, then please subscribe to Bricking It. Bye bye.